All right, we are live for the 110th episode of the
Let's Go Mets podcast.
Edelman on a flight to Israel is going to have a hard time hearing his Let's Go co-opted by Dovid Blum, an enemy of his, for Bombers Edelman rivalry, and now a Mets-Yankees rivalry, and he's taking the words and manipulating them for his own uses. But it's a pleasure to be here for this Mets post-mortem. The background here is I was schmoozing with Benji a little bit about the Mets, and I said we should do a podcast about it. And I said, of course, we have to have season ticket holder Shlomo Ross. And then he said, oh, you got to have Dovid Blum on. I said, I've never spoken to Dovid Blum really before. Can you ask him? I said, you know what, I'll ask him. And he was in like 4 seconds later. So, Benji, you obviously got the right guy with Blum. But here we are about 8 days. How many days ago? It ended on a Sunday, right? So has it only been 1 week?
Yeah.
Oh, feels like a lifetime ago. All right, so we have a lot of directions to get carried in. It's a Bein Hazmanim podcast. There's no HSL stuff. There's no draft tourney for a couple of weeks. There's no basketball. It's Bein Hazmanim from the HSL, so it's nothing better than to talk a little Mets baseball. So, Shlomo, why don't you get us started? What did you think of the Mets season?
Obviously disappointing. There's not really any other word to describe it, but the last time I was on the podcast with Benji, I mentioned that I wanted a couple of relievers at the deadline, an outfielder, and they would be good. I was okay with. I think they gave up too much for Rodgers. I think that was overall they got the right guy, even though he had some clunkers when he joined the team. But they got the right guy. They just gave up way too much for him. And then I don't know what they were doing with Cedric Mullins. It was like a lot of the talk was Luis Robert, and I didn't want him either. They were like Vientos for Robert, and that wasn't like it seemed like they were just making a trade to make a trade there. But that's not the reason why this whole thing, why we're here today. There's just way too many games that they should have won. You could probably search it where you could find out how many games the Mets had to lead or should have won, and they just didn't go have proper fundamental baseball and lost the game in the 9th inning or eighth inning and beyond. And so I think that was really the theme of this year, is just not being able to finish out or close out any games or take advantage of opponents the way that the opponents were taking advantage of them.
You know, it's funny. Famously, the Mets never came back after 8 innings. Very, very famously, 0-65. Did they ever? Not did they ever. How many games did they blow after 8 innings? I actually don't know.
I don't know, but I don't like that stat. I'm very anti. Like, it's a narrative stat to me because they came back.
God. Mr. Positivity over here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me and Dovid are gonna go. Head to head. I'm sure he's ready to trade Juan Soto and Lindor. We know how he feels about Lindor.
Correct.
Well, they came back in a lot of these games. Like, it's not like they never had a 9th inning comeback. They just ended up losing the game. Like, if they score 4, if they're down 6-2 and they score 4 in the 9th, and then they end up losing. Like, the whole point of the stat is like, oh, they had no fight. They didn't come back. But they came back in the 8th. Like, does that not count? But just to, before I give any positivity, this was an absolute catastrophe. It was, Dovid's a little bit older than me, but I was 12 years old in 2007. This is worse than 2007. I think it's the worst season I've experienced in my lifetime, considering the expectations, considering Soto, considering the $350 million, the right guy, hopefully, at GM, and the amount of talent they had up and down the lineup. It was embarrassing. Like, getting in is already you won 84 games. Even if they win that game in Miami, which of course they didn't, but even if they do, it's still embarrassing if they probably get knocked out by the Dodgers like that. But at least you can all right, they made the playoffs, just something to go there. But the fact that they couldn't win 4 out of 6 against Miami, 4 out of 6, or I think they lost 3 out of 4 2 weeks ago, and then they lost again 2 out of 3, and then they lost 4-6 to Washington. It was LOL Mets all over again. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible and gut-wrenching.
Zach Felberg just sent me every single brutal loss that the Mets had.
I'm sure he enjoyed it.
No, he's a Mets fan.
Oh, he's a Met fan?
He
I
is.
thought
He
so.
is. He is a
Yeah.
Mets fan. He
Oh, he's
is.
a
He
Yankee
is.
fan.
Like one of them is like up 5-1 on the Padres in the fifth. I don't remember that game.
Yes. Vientos hit a
Up
grand
4-1.
slam. Yep.
Oh,
And that was Montas pitching.
Yeah. He,
In
he,
San
he,
Diego.
he gave,
Anyway,
he gave it right back.
I'll forward you
Yeah.
guys the graphic. So what's going on with
Against
Mr.
Michael Flynn.
Positivity and Mr. Negativity? What's this? First of all, Shlomo and Dovid Blum. How do you guys know each other?
Through the Bombers.
Not Shlomo. Sorry, I got the wrong one. I meant Benji. and Dovid Blum because you
Benji.
guys were doing the positive negative. Sorry, Benji and Dovid. How do you guys know each other?
He lives like right down the block from my parents. That's honestly
True.
And then we ended up playing against each other. I think your cousin was my realtor or something.
Yeah.
Is that also the case?
My aunt? Maybe I think my aunt.
Your aunt. There
Yes.
you go.
No, but I think we just met through softball, and then I kind of saw you at your parents' house. You're like, oh, you could look familiar. And then through Ash, I hang out with Ash in shul,
Sure.
go golfing a little bit. We like to make fun.
It's a
of
very
him.
hard. That's a
So-
very hard click to break into. The Benji, Ash, Matt
The
Rosenberg,
Benji.
Steve Pollen.
Yeah.
It's harder to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
into that than it is to get into the Jew ball football stuff, from what I hear.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then we made the Mets connection. I don't know how. I guess maybe I don't know who mentioned it. And there you go. Once you have a Mets fan, then it's like you become like best friends. Once you have like a real
100%.
Mets fan, you could talk to anyone for like 2 hours. You met them 5 minutes ago. There's just
100%.
everyone
Yeah.
has the same thoughts, just the same emotions, same negativity.
If I see a homeless guy wearing a Mets T-shirt, I give him
Correct.
$1. If I see him wearing a Yankee
100%.
T-shirt, I don't give him
If you see him wearing a Yankees t-shirt, you kick it. You
Nothing.
kick him
I
in the
walk my
nuts.
dog. I take something, yeah.
When you're on vacation outside, New York, if you're in Florida, just somewhere random, you see a Mets T-shirt. There's like an instant bond with that guy. You just like want to. Yeah, exactly. You want to give him a hug because
Like a keeper.
Yeah.
No different than a keeper.
It's exactly right. Exactly. But my bone to pick with Benji is every time I ran into him in shul, they were fine. It's fine. Soto's having an amazing. Look at his numbers. You're nuts. And I'm not exactly Frank the Tank from Barstool, but I do enjoy his rants and tweets because I am Mr. Negativity. I just unless they're up by 8 runs in the 9th inning with 2 outs, I'm just they're gonna blow it. They're just that. But
So
then
Benji's a shtickle Tommy Lugauer. He's got a shtickle Tommy Lugauer
exactly,
in him.
and he's too into the number. I think he's an accountant. Also, he's like loves the numbers. So like, right, you look at the box score. Like, everyone had a great year this year, right? Look at all our numbers. All the guys, everyone had nice years, but somehow, some way, they don't win. Like it doesn't translate. Now, obviously, there are bigger issues. Pitching horrendous. Starting pitching horrendous. Bullpen is blown out. Every move they made at the deadline stunk. But there's something. It's hard to quantify because like this core outside Soto, they've underachieved every year, right? So there's the Nimmo, Alonso, and they all have decent Lindor. They all have good numbers at the end, but there's something that happens that over the course of a season, and just they can't win games they need to win. It's like that's so. There's like old Mets and like there's like newer Mets. Last year that was like new Mets. Like this year was old Mets. Like they're gonna find a way to lose. They're gonna find a way to lose. They're not gonna get the big hit. Was it Friday night when they came back against the Nats? Was it Friday night? Nimmo comes up.
Saturday night.
Was that the Saturday night when Nimmo came
Shot,
up?
Nimmo
Shot.
struck out with a man on
Yeah.
third.
No,
Yeah,
it was bases loaded. They came back. Soto had a big single. They tied it up at 3.
Yeah.
And then Nimmo comes up 1 out, bases loaded. Just need like put it in play.
Yeah.
And then he's out. And then I think and then Marte strikes out.
Marte.
That was
the
like
season.
if you want to
That was
like
the season.
encapsulate like old bad LOL Mets, like that was like you just knew it. You just knew it.
But there's so
You're
many
a
games
Beningo
that-
guy. You just knew. You're for sure a Beningo guy.
Because when you watch the Mets enough, like everyone watches it, there are certain seasons that just have a theme, right? Like somehow last year there was a miracle theme, and they found a way. Like there was just they got big hits. There was Iglesias, whoever it was, down the stretch. But that's so like the
Winker,
right? Like there was just energy, like. But that was like such a like an anomaly. Like that's not who we're used to. Like this season is like more like that's what we're used to, right? Like no one, like everyone you talk to, no one is surprised how the season ended. Were they going to win that game in Miami on Sunday? Like there was no chance. Like there was no chance.
I'll send you. I was watching with my son. I made him cry today actually for the first time. He said, "Yay Yankees!" That's what he said to me.
How old is he?
2, so he's 2, so he likes to now. He starts to test me a little bit, and I said, "No, boo Yankees," and he actually started to cry. And I'm like, I was very proud. It was a very proud father moment for me.
Wow.
Because
It's
my
hidden.
father, I remember I came to my dad tells me the story all the time, and I was 5. The Yankees were in the midst of their dynasty, and I was like, I want to be a Yankee fan, Dad. Would have saved me. Wow, what an amount of pain I would have. But and he's like, no, well, you can be a Yankee fan, but you can't live in this house. Well, I was 4, and I didn't want to be homeless at 4, so I made the decision. Honestly, I don't even know if it was the right decision. I'd rather be homeless at 4 and a Yankee fan than be what I went through. But I was watching. There's a video of me because my wife and my sisters think it's very funny to video me watching a game, especially when it's a big one. And when Pete hit that, that rocket into left center, that was just right at the left fielder, and I thought
150 miles an hour, 160 miles an hour,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
it was.
hardest
I was
hit ball
walking
in
with my
baseball
son in my
history.
hand, and I just collapsed. I was like, that was when I knew. I was like, you know what? I knew they were losing that game.
100.
There's certain plays
Yes,
in a game where
yes.
you know that the game's gonna end. Like it was
Exactly
Jacob
right.
Young with the Beatty fly ball when it hit off his foot. As soon as that play happened, I turned to my friend and I said, "The Mets are losing this game." Doesn't matter like what happens, or like they're not winning.
That's it.
You just know as a
That's-
Mets fan that there's certain plays.
Correct, and it's like just teetering on the brink, and it's like when it doesn't go, like they're done. Right? That was it.
Yeah.
That was Alonso. They were done.
David, so
Like,
Avi heard your "Let's go Mets." He wasn't too thrilled with it. That was a good call though. When did you think it? When did you think it?
That just came to my head. Is he a big Yankee fan?
He's a big Yankee guy. Yeah, he's a big Yankee guy.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right.
Goes to a lot of
They got-
games.
It's got their own, so this is
Yeah.
we're rubbing the salt in the wound here.
It's a little too early. A little too early to rub it in. We
Well,
gotta be very careful. Very careful. You know, we don't want to get carried away.
I hear you.
So Benji, you were born in '90.
I don't think they're done.
What's
I don't
that?
think they're done. I don't think they're done.
You don't think they're done? Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't
But
think
Benji, you were born in '95, I guess, because you said you were 12 in '07. So
Yeah.
I was born in '87. So you missed the agony of year after
Oh, I
year
don't
of the
know.
year.
I would have
Yeah.
thrown myself out of a window.
I did.
If I was
I survived.
If I remember 2000, if I was able to remember 2000, and had to go to school the next day, I would have just been crucified. That would have
was
been
very
the worst
tough.
moment of my life. It was
Disaster.
terrible.
So I'm a little bit
So,
older
David-
than you, David. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
Go ahead,
I think the only time the Mets literally, I think it made me cry, was the Subway Series, and I thought Piazza got all of it at the end when they ended up winning, and Bernie Williams catches it. Like there was something that just, like, I think I cried, like because it was just so bad. It was like here's our chance, the big bad Yankees of like early, late '90s, 2000s, and like they're fighting. Obviously, they lose game 1 and heartbreaking. Like, and I thought Piazza got it. Like it looked like he got it, right? And then
Yeah.
nope.
I've
And
seen
then-
the video. It looks
and
like
it was
yeah.
just like that was it. Like that was just
Yeah.
Making me cry now thinking about it.
the absolute worst. But you know what's crazy? It's like it's almost like being like you don't realize how good you had it when like you don't have it for so many years. Like they had those teams. It's not to bring in the Jets, but like the Rex Ryan era. Like I hated their play call. I hated everything about them. Somehow they were winning games and they made it to 2 AFC championships. So like you kind of realize like you can't be spoiled when like they're actually like in the playoffs and a competent team for like 2 years in a row, which is
I
crazy.
assume you guys are all Jet fans, yeah?
Yeah.
Jets.
Giants fan.
Okay.
Oh, Giants.
Yeah.
At least you have
I'm-
some.
Well, I'm Long Island born, so like I grew up in West Hempstead. So usually it's the Mets, Jets, Islander trifecta. So that's what they call gym fans. If you ever heard the gym term, JIM. So there you go,
David, where do you live now?
Woodmere.
Woodmere. Okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
And Shlomo, you're near there, and Benji, you're near there. Oh wait, Benji, you're in West Hempstead now.
Yeah. So David upgraded.
So you
I
flipped.
downgraded.
West Hempstead's the 6th town now. It's the 6th town.
It
or
was
maybe the
definitely
5
not
towns are offended by.
It was definitely not as popular when I was growing up. That's for sure. I don't think anyone in the 5 towns knew where West Hempstead was back in the day.
The funny thing is, everybody's moving there, but there's still no like kosher food there. You have like a bagel store, and
No,
like
it's-
that's about it. You know.
Correct. It's a 1 pizza town. That's it. They can only support one.
No, we got
I-
2.
I-
There's 2 now.
You'll see. It's the curse of hunkies. There'll be one by. It's just a matter of time.
The curse of Huggins. That's funny. All right, so David, you alluded to a little bit like there was something missing with the Mets. There's something missing. They had all the numbers. Benji would quote you the numbers, this, that, and the other. So, what do you guys think went wrong with this team?
I'll let David go first, then I'll just take whatever he says and absolutely destroy it.
Probably. So it's hard to. I mean, obviously, you could look at the starting pitching. I mean, like that's the easiest thing, because then the ripple effect of the bullpen and everyone's blown out, everyone's shot. That's fine. They can't hold the lead. But there's something, and I don't know what their stat ended up with runners and scores. I don't know, Benji, you tell me. There was there's always a clutch factor that just always, and it's never the main guy. I'm telling you, like, absent of Alonso last year and Lindor at the end of the year last year, whenever the Mets go on runs, it always seems to be this fringe miracle guy, the Iglesias, or let's say like Kelly Johnson. Like one year, like it's sometimes the Harrison Baders of the world, right? Like those are the guys getting big hits. Like it never seems to be like McNeil or like Nimmo or like guys like getting. I don't know. There's maybe maybe it's just me and I'm totally off, but like I don't. There's something to them of like I don't know. Maybe it's a clutch factor. I don't know. It's hard to say, but obviously the pitching is number one. Their defense was atrocious, right? So they really have pretty much butchers everywhere. Alonso's good at scooping, cannot throw to first base. Nimmo has no arm.
Dovid, with the hitting, I guess what you're saying is you kind of have three top 12 MVP candidates between the Mets' three big guns, Alonso, Lindor, Soto, maybe even three top 10, right?
Yeah.
Why couldn't anybody hit 8 home runs in the last 2 weeks? Like, it would be crazy. That'd be a lot of home runs for 2 weeks, but it's also not total. Well, it's not crazy. See that happen, and it just didn't happen. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And how many? Look. I don't say so. He had a great year. I think. What do you have? Like 32 solo homers. Like things are like so bizarre. Like obviously you can't control. But like I don't know. Every time it seemed like they needed a big hit. But I don't know. There's many things that went wrong. But like I don't know. It's obviously starts with starting pitching and their defense, as Stearns calls it, run prevention. I want to like punch the TV when I hear that. Run, just say defense. Run, that drives me nuts. I don't know if anyone bothers anyone else, but like, yeah, we play crappy.
Well, maybe he's not maybe he's not a baseball fan. Maybe he's purely a numbers guy. That's why it bothers you so much.
Which is part of. So I think that's part of the problem. Like, I think he didn't realize how important. I'm not stealing everyone's thunder, but like Iglesias and JD Martinez, there's certain locker room guys that just like. There's something there. Benji's shaking his head. I'm telling you, Benji, there are certain guys on your softball team. You need to bring a little bit mojo. I'm telling you, you're wrong. Like, they got rid of him, and like there was nothing there this year. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to quantify, but it seems like that's a theme. Like when you read everything about what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know. It's hard to quantify.
Shlomo, what do you got to say about all this? And you go to a lot of Mets games. How many Mets games were you at this season?
I think I ended up at 27.
Wow.
Should have been more, but 27, yeah. The first
the girlfriend, great. The girlfriend didn't let you go to more. The girlfriend kept you home.
She didn't let. It was that
you had to be okay. Got it.
I made the right decision.
The relationship is still intact. Okay,
yeah. But yeah, like I think there's a crazier stat than them not coming back beyond the 8th inning, like where they won the game, was that in August they scored the most runs that they scored in history in a month, a single month, and they lost almost all those games.
That's right.
Like they were scoring runs, they were doing everything they needed to do, and then their starting pitching also just didn't go beyond 4 innings. And besides for David Peterson, who just lost it at the very end of the season, but they had the longest streak of no starting pitching going back to back 6 innings or more, or 5 innings or more. It was like the craziest stats. So I think that's like the thing that really jumped out was just that, like, if they won any of those games in August, they're in a playoff spot, and it's not even coming down to the final weekend in Miami. So I think that's like one big thing. And then also like a lot of their big like bullpen pieces, besides for like the bullpen being overworked, just went down. So like AJ Minter, who they signed, and that was their big like bullpen signing in the offseason, he went down with his injury. Max Kranick, who is pretty much lights out for the beginning of the year, he went down with an injury. I don't know, most people aren't so high on Tyler McGill, but like if he was a bullpen piece, he could be a solid bullpen piece. I don't think he needs to be a starter, but as a bullpen piece, he went down for the entire year. It was just like all these guys that could have helped the team when things were just humbling down, just when they got injured, and then you had Paul Blackburn coming into the game after or it was Holmes who had a 5-1 lead against Tampa Bay and gives up the lead there on a Friday night. So it's just like there were so many small things that just turned into an avalanche, and just
I'll tell you, it warms my
that's
heart to see Paul Blackburn as a Yankee and Ahmed Rosario as a Yankee. It's nice for them to have our garbage for once, as opposed to the other way around.
Ahmed Rosario is not garbage. You think
Ahmed Rosario is garbage. Ahmed Rosario can't field. Ahmed Rosario can't get on base. Ahmed Rosario is garbage. Absolute garbage.
I haven't followed his career that closely. He wasn't that bad on the Mets.
Oh, he was bad. Especially considering what he was. He was the number one prospect in baseball.
Yes, he was the number one prospect, but I remember him being above replacement level. He couldn't field.
He couldn't field.
Yeah,
he took home run in Yankee Stadium.
He didn't have a shortstop body. He just looked very clunky. Yeah, at short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was bad.
But with
yeah.
with Benji, what Benji just said, like, I thought that all flipped last year when they went out and got JD Davis, and he was their number 4 hitter for a couple of weeks, and I was like, oh, the New York Mets are now providing the garbage to the Yankees.
Right.
And
yeah. True. Yeah.
Here we are.
JD Davis was sitting cleanup. That was nice. That was really nice.
All
right. I'm gonna respond to the Dovid.
Go ahead, Benji. Yeah.
If I just can't get over this. If people believe that the Mets did not make the playoffs because they didn't have a song and because they didn't have JD Martinez, who stunk last year. After June, JD Martinez was I don't even think he was playing on a daily basis. So if you're going to tell me that it's a locker room thing, they did this in 2023. I remember when the Mets, they got Verlander, they got Scherzer, and everybody, or Scherzer was still there from 2022. And Tommy Pham came out with that whole thing, oh, no one's working hard and this and that. And somehow they all ended up, it's the same team in 2024, plus JD Martinez. And all of a sudden, the chemistry is amazing again. And all of a sudden, to me, it's all nonsense. To me, chemistry, if you win, you have great chemistry. If you lose, you have bad chemistry. They're already coming out with the reports. I was listening to the Rico. I don't know if you guys are big Evan Roberts fans. I was listening to the Rico. And you already have the Schmedricks going on about, there might be a tension between Lindor and Soto. Shut your freaking mouths, okay? That's not what happened. I'll tell you what happened this year. This is what happened this year. A, David Stern signed Frankie Montas. That is talk about Yankee garbage. That was the most unexcusable move. There was no process to that. He was bad in Cincinnati last year. He didn't pitch in 2023. He was bad with the Yankees. So you already have the New York thing. You already have the fact that he's not good. And you gave him $17 million when Jose Quintana got $4 million, who already pitched for us. If we sign Jose Quintana instead of Frankie Montas, we're in the playoffs. Just right there.
So what was the thinking with Montas? Did Stearns address it?
Nobody's gonna ask him like, "Hey, by the way, Frankie Montas sucks. Why the hell did you sign him?" I don't think anyone's gonna ask him that straight up. But to me, it was just that was nonsense. It's hard to really kill the other move. I personally am not a Minaya guy. I didn't think Minaya was worthy of the contract that he gave. But when you look at the other guys that signed for that kind of money, it's kind of hard to kill him on that. But I think the overarching plan with the starting pitching is what killed this team. Because as bad as the offense, when the offense underperformed, you won't hear me. I'll defend Juan Soto till I'm dead. But the offense definitely, they were 9th in runs. That's not enough. Yeah. With that kind of team, you need to be top 5 in runs. I said going into the year, you have to be top 5 in runs. But the way Stearns went about it and did not have enough upside guys or enough floor guys in that rotation. If you just look back at it now, the rotation was Peterson, who only had one good half year in his entire life. Shlomo Minaya, who also was last year, was a complete anomaly compared to the rest of his career. Clay Holmes, who luckily was a success, but he had never started a game in his life. And Frankie Montas, who I don't have any more words for him. Was the plan just for McClain to come up and save this team? That's really the plan? That can't be the plan. And my last thing on Stearns, because I don't think this is fully Stearns. I think the starting pitching don't have to be bad when they're that bad. But I think the reason Stearns was brought here, and we thought he was going to be Brian Cashman. Brian Cashman has this unique talent where he's able to take these nonsense, loser relievers like Luke Weaver, for example, or Ian Hamilton, or any of these guys that you come up with, and they're all of a sudden these 8th inning lockdown guys. Funnily, historically enough, the guy that they got, that Devin Williams, is the other way around. It's unbelievable. But David Stearns was brought here to basically fill that role, to find the diamonds in the rough, and he hasn't done that since he's been here. And that's been obviously signing Juan Soto is not impressive. I can sign Juan Soto. Everybody knows Juan Soto is great. The thing that he has not done since he got here was build a bullpen. and he didn't do it again this year. It's hard to kill him for the deadline because those guys had track records, but before the deadline, what was the bullpen? And the rotation, like I said, it wasn't good enough. So I'm not going to put it all on Stearns because the starting pitching just didn't perform. Sometimes it's just on the players. But the plan going in was just not enough. And that's the reason they didn't make the playoffs, not because of JD Martinez not being on the team.
And not because of OMG.
Not because of OMG. Not because Grimace threw out a first pitch.
Speaking of Stearns, who everybody's beating up now, and Mendoza, which we didn't even get into yet, Jeremy Hefner getting the axe was, the way I read it was, I said to somebody like the last day of the season, I said there's got to be a few Carbonos, there's got to be a few sacrificial lambs, here, and that's it, right? You guys agree? I mean, Hefner, what the hell did he do wrong? Okay, but you guys talk about tears, and like Hefner, I remember him when he was not supposed to be good as a pitcher, and then he had like one or two really good seasons, and then he got hurt, and like I remember he retired, and I remember he put out a statement. It was kind of emotional. Like I've always liked the guy. He's done so much good with crap over the years, and my feeling on on Steve Cohen, who I don't think has done any major missteps. Like in terms of also like the Mets always have a bad history of a bad relationship with their people who leave the team and retire, and like he's been really good at patching that up. To me, the Hefner thing was Steve Cohen's first. To me, that was a major misstep. I have no other way to see it. And whether it was to save face with Stearns and Mendy, I don't know exactly that he needed to blame it on somebody else. I'm curious what all your guys' thoughts are actually, but that one really bothered me, the Hefner thing.
So I think that the reason why Hefner got the axe, and I like Hefner. I was at his major league debut. I took a picture of him. He retweeted that picture. So like I have a long history.
Wow, Shlomo, I'm feeling a little bit one-upped here. I thought I was impressive just I thought I was impressed with just remembering his brief Mets career. I don't know.
Very personal. What was his number, Shlomo? What was his jersey number?
I don't remember.
Gary Cohn would have it.
This is very personal for Shlomo. I took a picture of it.
Yeah. But as much as I liked him, like I think that you could bring in any pitching coach, and like the pitching coach isn't gonna make or break the team. I think that it came down to Mendoza was Stearns' choice as manager, and none of the other guys on the coaching staff were Stearns' choice. So this is basically the chance for Stearns to be like, I'm going to bring in all of my guys into the dugout, and then if that doesn't work out, then you could get rid of Mendoza.
And they weren't Mendy's guys either, though. I don't think any of those guys are Mendy's either, right?
No, none of them. Yeah, they were all from
for years.
Yep. So that was the easy.
So like Eric Chavez and Jeremy Burns or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Like they were both 2021. Hefner was even before that. So like all of these guys like were before Stearns or Mendy. Like the one guy that they kept besides for Mendy is Antoine Richardson, who's also a Stearns guy.
Yeah.
And I think that they should just give him a lifetime contract for turning like what the Mets did on the bases this year was insane.
Yeah, no, for sure. He turned Juan Soto into Ricky Henderson. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Shlomo, what's the most amount of Mets games you ever went to in a season?
41 in 2023.
Holy.
Oof.
That's basically that's got to be the maximum because just based on Shabbos games.
Yeah, it was close.
Are you keeping track of your all-time record? I know some people.
No, I wish I would have when I was younger. I would have kept all of my like ticket stubs back then. Yeah, but now with the MLB at the MLB ballpark app, like it keeps a diary for you.
Yeah.
Does it
so
really?
I have all of them since 2020.
Did you go to that volume of games growing up also? Were your parents into the Mets? Or I know you have a lot of siblings. Oh, you have a lot of siblings. Okay.
So I would go with my siblings, but never to like I think 13 was the most that I went to before I got the season ticket.
How many season tickets do you have?
I have 2 seats, and then I trade in like my Shabbos games in order to get additional seats for other games.
So typical game that you go to, you're going alone or you're finding a friend or sibling to go with?
Friends, family. Sometimes I go alone, and I know enough people in the ballpark where I could like hang out and it's okay. But like for the most part, I'm bringing a friend or somebody from my family.
I've just noticed that I've never gotten the invite. There have been times No. There are times when it's like 4 o'clock on a Tuesday, and you're like, "Oh, I have an extra ticket." You'll post in a public chat, but there's never
Yeah.
like, "Hey, Dovid, like, what about going to this game in like 10 days from now? They're playing the Yankees."
Yeah.
You know,
I'm
I'd
very
love
bad at doing that. Like for the Yankees games, like I get requests like early in the year, but then like for specific games, I'm like I tell everybody if they want to go to a game, they have to ask me, and then if it's open, then I'll take whoever.
Wait, so you buy 81? You have 81 games, and then you trade the Shabbos games for what?
Just if I need extra tickets for a different game, then I trade it in for that game.
And the Mets facilitate all that through MLB.com or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's pretty
Interesting.
seamless.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. Down the stretch, I noticed City Field was a little bit emptier the last, not the last, and maybe not, but a few of the later series as September went along. I guess they were on the road for like the last 6 games, but City Field definitely took a hit down the stretch. People were really fed up.
Although
kind of
the crowds,
on the road.
yeah, the crowds this year were amazing. I know they had like crazy high attendance numbers. I went to a couple of games in this weeknights that were the park packed. I mean, like packed like you've never seen before, which is crazy. I mean, like, so I know Cone called everyone out last year, right? Because the team sucked. So, like, obviously, they were 11 games under 500. No wonder nobody was coming for the first 3 months. Like, hello? When the team is good, it's not rocket science. When you put a good team out, your fans will, like, it's like as if this chachma, like, figure this out. So, of course, everyone's pumped. You signed Soda. Of course, we're all going to, like, it became a scene. Like, the Mets are like the thing, like the activity to go to, right? It was like there was like a buzz. It was unbelievable. But there was like that down the stretch. There was that old Mets negative energy. Like, you know, they get 2 guys on, and there's just like this, like everyone is just so tight, and it's like, oh, here we go. You could tell it in Gary Cohn's voice. It's just like, oh, I know that feeling. You felt it, right? You felt that tenseness. Like the last 2 weeks, and it was just like, oh god, I hate this. I hate this.
It's things that
Benji,
they were
what
on
were
the
you
road.
going to say?
You
Yeah, go ahead.
didn't get to boo them. I like that. At least in 07, you got to boo.
Oh,
You know,
God.
they lost at home, and I don't know how people view booing your own team. But you know, there's certain guys that I'll never boo. But like, oh my God, if I saw Ryan Stanek walk off the mound, giving up 2 runs in that last game. By the way, Mendy should be fired just for that, just for bringing Ryan Stanek into that
Are we going
game.
to talk about Mendy a little bit?
I wanted to just make one point on Hefner. I know the what's it called? It seems like the entire industry loves the guy, and the Mets obviously love the guy. The Mets were consistently, and I don't put too much stock into pitching coaches and hitting coaches. I don't really know what kind of impact they make, but the Mets were consistently like the worst team in terms of walks every year.
I was going to say
Every
that.
year.
Yep.
So like maybe it was okay to just fire the guy and be
Agreed.
like, maybe he's telling you to nibble too much. I don't know what's going on in that room.
Correct.
Like I said, I don't put this on him. Obviously, it's on Shlomo and Peterson for not getting out of the 3rd inning. But yeah, you know what? Maybe if we stop walking the world every
Agreed.
single year, maybe you get
Agreed.
some hard contact outs or something. You know, that's all I'll say about it. But I'm not a big Mendy guy.
Agree. I'll add with the walks. That's like the mark of like a frustrating Mets team when the guy comes in from the bullpen and walks the first. It's like, here we go. That's always the mark. But I feel like this has been going on forever. And I don't know how many years in a row they've been up there in walks. It's always nibbling. Holmes 0-2. It's always 3. That's why their pitch count gets up so fast. It's like there's something to that. I mean, you like to watch like playoff games. Like, teams that have real good deep bullpens, they come in and it's just like bing, bing, bing. These guys are throwing strike 1, strike 2, and then somehow they put the guys away. It's like there's something to that, and maybe they're just not as good as some of these other relievers. I don't know. I don't know everyone's middle relief in the playoffs, but like it's the walks are, and they're always been up there, and that's like the mark of like a frustrating Met team. Like here they come, first guy on, walk. It's like automatic. So I think there's something to that. So I know this whole pitching lab, like it's probably all overblown. Maybe just get better pitchers, but something had to happen, right?
What an idea.
They probably should have fired Chavez earlier in the year when nobody was hitting, right? They were like their runners and scoring position was atrocious. Like they did nothing for the first 2 months. So he probably should have been fired earlier, just for the sake of firing, just to do something. But I agree. I think it's you had to do something, and I don't know how much value they actually have, but. Now the Mendy.
Let's do Mendy. David, what were you going to say about Mendy? Talk to us.
I never loved him. Also, he comes from the Yankees, so he comes from the Boone tree of coaching. of awful decisions. I thought he was fine last year. Like I just want to see like a spark. I thought Buck Showalter was amazing because like he looked angry, and I just want my manager to look angry. Like I want him to be like engaged in the game, not like what protect your guy. Like if a guy gets something happens or a bad call, like you got to. I feel like like actual players feed off of that. I do. I really think there's a lot to that versus just sitting there and watching. I think as the season gone on, like he got worse and worse. But I also I'll say I think it came from the top from Stearns because I think the whole mantra was just get into the playoffs as if they were a lock 20 games over. Just get in and get hot at the right time, as if that's a switch that you flip. Just get in and get hot at the right time. But I think they had this relaxed attitude and kind of they not I don't say punted on a lot of games, but I feel like there was no urgency. And you heard Stearns use that word a lot in his press conference, and I loved hearing that because I feel like for the last month, 2 months they didn't have this urgency. Like it felt like they were just everything was very passive. So I'm down on him, but I feel like that also came from Stearns. We're like, all right, we're just gonna get in the third wild card and we'll get hot at the right time, as if like last year they're gonna recreate last year, right? You can't just recreate that. Like win the division for once. Like play well in the summertime. Play well in August. Like don't just assume you're gonna get into the third wild card. So that's my thought. And the last one is the reason why I soured on Mendy, and this is gonna be very specific. The Mets had just won the first 2 games of the Subway Series at home. Were they at home? Anyway, they were playing really well. I don't know I don't know when it was. They were. I forgot who started. I think they had a spot. I don't know. Someone came in, a no-name guy.
Yeah.
They were down.
Justin Hageman.
I think maybe it was Hageman. Okay, they were down like it was like maybe 3-0. It was guy on third with Judge coming up with like 2 outs, and he decided to pitch to Judge. He literally and Judge of course hits a 2-run homer. They go up 5-0. The Mets actually come back and they almost made it a game. Remember Bellinger had that amazing shoestring catch and he threw the guy out first. Anyway, but the fact he didn't walk Judge. I think he literally said like he punted on the game because he loves Boone and Boone was on the hot seat at the time and he literally fed him the game. There was no reason in the world you don't put 4 fingers up. It's like the most and they lost the game. And ever since then, I promise, like I've totally soured on him ever since then. I 100 like there was something about that move that just drove like, as if he was like, no, like we're good here. You Yankees, like boom, take this game. I don't know. That's anyway. So whatever.
Yeah,
that's a very interesting take, and I didn't realize how close Mendy and my own indiscretion, how close Mendy and Boone are. But that is a hilarious. That is a hilarious take. It's like really
Because
funny
it bothered
and
me so
interesting,
much at the
and
time.
interesting also.
Because when you watch, like things were going, they won the first 2 games. They were hot at the time, and it just that there was no reason not to walk. Like
it's also very Mets. It's also very Mets when you talk about knowing that something's going to happen. They're not going to sweep the Yankees. I don't remember who was saying that earlier on. That when you just, I think it was you also, David. Like you just, something's going to go wrong, and that particular way of it happening,
and it made it worse because they actually fought that game. They actually made a nice comeback, and like they had life, and like they had good mojo going, and like there was something about that. But then, down the stretch, I obviously you could always question the bullpen moves, but I don't know. There was just I don't know what it is, but I don't love him now. Does he really make a difference? Ultimately, the players. It's baseball. He's not. This is not the NFL where coaching matters. NBA where coaching matters. It's like the players play. Like they hit. Like so. I think we go nuts because when the players don't do like we start to nitpick. Everything gets so magnified that that's what happens. But I don't know. So the bullseye is squarely on him for next year. That's for sure. So if they get off to a bad start, he's probably going to be gone. Right.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, anyway,
I don't believe in any of the mojo stuff. That's not something that I'll believe in. I think managers are overblown in general. Like you were talking about, like guys that are. I loved Buck because I liked the way Buck handled in game. Because that's really the only thing I can really comment on. I don't know what these guys are doing behind the scenes. I don't know what kind of impact they're making. I don't know what conversations they're having. Nor do I really care. I don't think it makes that big of a difference. Maybe it does, and maybe it doesn't. But there's not something that I can.
There's a certain feistiness in the game when I like when.
Well, Boone is the most feisty, and everybody hates Boone. Like he gets thrown out of every game, and he stinks. I mean, he brought in Nestor Cortez last year. I mean, what are we doing?
Agree. That doesn't mean you have to be a moron when it comes to bullpen moves.
Right.
But there's a certain there's certain Mets fans that were just like so blah, like another Met gets hit and like nothing happens, or like I don't know. You got to show some fire at some point. Like when things are not going well, does it make a difference? I don't know. But like I don't know. To me, there is something to that, but
Shlomo,
I think it's more of a fan thing, and I'll just say one more thing. Then I'll let Shlomo talk. The thing that bothers me most about Mendy, like I said, I don't care about. Like he's talking to the media, he's gonna say it's right in front of them. The same thing with Boone. To me, it doesn't matter. I don't care what they say in the press conferences. And the fieriness that doesn't bother me. What bothers me is that he hits Francisco Lindor leadoff. That drives me absolutely up a wall. And everyone brings this up last year because the second Lindor moved to leadoff, like Mendy's a genius that Francisco Lindor started to hit. Francisco Lindor's a good player. Like, obviously, he's going to start to hit. It's just a matter of, like, you think it matters whether he hits first or third? No, Francisco Lindor doesn't get on base. Not on base nearly enough for Juan Soto, who, whether you want to say he had a really good year, an empty year, or whatever it is, like, he's your best player, and he's not getting on base enough. And rather than hit Nimmo, who they completely ruined by telling him to hit home runs instead of getting on base at a 380 clip, instead now he's trying to hit 25, and he stinks at it.
What's his OPS now? What was his season final OPS?
760 was probably his OPS.
And what was it earlier? What was his career high?
I don't know what his OPS. To me, I'm not necessarily looking at the OPS.
No, but I'm just saying that's the attitude, though, right? As if the OPS is higher at the end of the season, that's what they're going for.
Strictly, I only care about OBP in this case because
I understand. I understand. I'm just saying that's the idea, though, right?
Yeah. No, I guess, but a slugging percentage point is not worth the same as an on-base percentage point. Like, I'd rather a guy, let's say a guy has an 800 OPS, right? And he has a 400 on base and a 400 slugging. As opposed to a 300 on base and a 500 slugging, I'm taking the 400 every time. Because getting on base is, to me, significantly more important.
One's a baseball player and one's a sabermetric cartoon creation, I think, or something. I don't know exactly how to put it.
Sure, but my point is that
Benji's like I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Okay,
I was just gonna let it go rather than say that. But like Lindor does two things really really well. He hits for power well, and he hits for and he steals bases well. Right? He doesn't get on base. That's not his specialty. He doesn't get on base at a terribly low clip. He doesn't get on base at a real good leadoff hitter spot. So to me, when you're hitting him leadoff, so he's gonna hit all those home runs. Hit all those leadoff home runs. Why? Soto's on base 40% of the time. If he's sitting behind Soto, he's hitting 2-run home runs instead of solo home runs. The second thing is he steals 30 bases a year. Why are we stealing bases in front of Juan Soto? Juan Soto I don't want him, he's going to walk plenty, and he did. But I don't want them to strictly walk him. I want them to pitch to him. Why am I running him to second base? It doesn't make any sense. Like it's just not a baseball thing. And because the numbers after May 1st last year were so good, so like we decided that Lindor has to hit leadoff, and then it ended up being nonsense anyway. Because remember they took him out of the leadoff spot this year anyway because he was struggling. So to me it was all nonsense. So that's what bothers me a lot. And then of course look, there's a lot of bullpen moves, but I think every team goes through that. I don't know where he ranks in terms of baseball because if you don't really
47 pitchers in one season is a lot of pitchers. You know,
I think it's a record.
Yeah. All right, we have two more things to get to, then we got to wind down.
I know you want to talk. Let Shlomo talk a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, the reason I love Shlomo, he's on our rules committee also, is he doesn't do hot takes. Yeah. When people, we have this rules committee which has been going great. People will be talking about something for 2-3 hours. Shlomo, dead silent. Nothing. So I'll tag him, at Shlomo. What are your thoughts? The voice of reason comes in.
Yeah. But yeah, so... For the about Lindor leading off during the National Series where I think he was in the middle of August. There was through my Mets ticket rep, he set me up with there was the Mets assistant general manager who was in charge of strategy. He talked to 15 of us and told us about how they prepare for different series and stuff. And I asked him...
Wait. What do you mean to 15 of you? There was a special invite for the more cerebral, the more talented, smart Mets fans?
No, it was supposed... They basically planned it the day of. So only 15 of us have no life and were able to get out to the ballpark that day.
What's the name of the assistant general manager?
I don't even remember his name. He was the guy from Philadelphia. He's in charge of the minor league teams. I looked him up after the fact to... verify that he's actually the assistant general manager.
This was at City Fields, right?
Yeah.
Eduardo Brazula, is that his name?
No, it was a different one.
Oh, they have more than one assistant. Wow.
Jonathan Strangio? I'm looking.
Might be that guy.
All right.
But he basically, I asked him, just a hypothetical, why don't you bat Soto lead off. He gets on base the most out of everybody. He's stealing bases now. He's only hitting solo home runs anyway, so like why don't you do that? He said the difference between having a random lineup versus having this like a specific lineup isn't so different in terms of how the game will play out. I don't know how much I believe that, but he said based off of models, that's the way that it's going to work out. He said, and also the reason why Alonso had so many RBIs is because Soto was getting on base in front of him. So if you take Soto out of that spot, then Alonso's not having as many RBIs likely. That was his reasoning for that. You could take that however you want. But about Mendy, I have a really good friend from elementary school, Uri Krause, who lives in Israel now, still watches most games. And he's like, this is the second year in a row where the Mets had a prolonged slump. Couple of months where they had nothing going. And he's like, that's... You obviously could blame players, but like there's something that has to do with the manager at that point where it's like it's not just 1 year where they didn't just collapse this year. They had the whole first half of last year where they were terrible.
Yeah.
And that he's like, so that's, and I think he has a point there where if you every year the same thing is happening, who's the common denominator? So I guess we'll see in 2026 if Mendy's actually that common denominator, but it seems like it so far.
Anybody have anything to say to that? I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, Shlomo doesn't do hot takes. He is well reasoned. What's that?
I'm happy to fire him. Doesn't bother me. I just don't think he's like. I don't.
Well,
think
I do think with Steve Cohen, I do suspect he's an egomaniac, Steve Cohen, and he's not gonna do a 180 so quickly. That's the way I see it. I don't know how he ran his business where he got $1 billion fine, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever it was. I don't know, maybe he was firing people every couple of days, but I don't know that much about him. This show Billions. I don't know if you guys watch it, so it must be loosely based on him. So assuming this guy's an egomaniac, my sense was he's not, he had this snarky tweet about Mets fans. He's like, funny how there's less complaints when he scores 7 runs in the 9th inning or whatever, Like, that's my take on it. Like, he's not going to do a mea culpa or whatever the expression is. But anyway, let's get to 2 more things. Number 1, Pete Alonso. My own feeling is I want a lifelong Mets fan. We have one Hall of Famer. His name is Mike Piazza. He wasn't even an all-time. He wasn't even who's our other one? Tom Seaver. No, I meant in my lifetime. I'm 38. I'm getting to the age where I'm not that young anymore. And it's like I'm not that young. It's like I'm going to go my whole life without a Hall of Famer. So we have Mike Piazza in my lifetime. We've had a lot of great Mets. We had Mike Piazza. He was a Marlin, as you know, for a week. He was a Dodger for whatever it was, 7-8 years. Maybe DeGrom makes the Hall of Fame. I don't know who he'll go in as. I'm not saying Pete Alonso will make the Hall of Fame. He'll be a borderline case, assuming he, Anyway, we don't have a great legacy of lifetime Mets. Like even like Daniel Murphy, like obviously not a Hall of Famer, but like he has unbelievable playoffs. That guy should have, if not finished his career as a Met, finished the prime of his career as a Met. He signs a 3-year, $36 million deal with the Nationals. Embarrassing. That we couldn't get that. That was a whoop-on error. Anyway, my feeling is I've had so few lifetime Mets. So many people have left. Jose Reyes, hurts me. Other ones hurt me. I can't think of all of them right now. I'm willing to blow Steve Cohen, Mr. Egomaniac's money on Pete Alonso. They say first basemen who hit home runs have a steep decline. I don't know about all these first basemen. I know that Pete Alonso plays really, really hard every single day. I don't think he profiles as somebody whose body's going to break down. I don't know what crazy contract somebody will give him. Is somebody going to give him 5 years, $140 million? I doubt it. But whatever it is, whatever ways they have of figuring out the market, I would blow it up by $20 million. Like let's say they test the waters and they find out there's a crazy team that's going to offer him 5 years, 100. Call him up and say 5 years, 120, and that's it. Make him a lifetime Met. Hopefully he chases 500 homers. He'll almost certainly hit 400 homers unless something goes wrong very quickly. That's my take. Curious what everybody else has to say. Dovid, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, he'll drive you nuts with his trying to throw a guy out of first base when a pitcher's covering, but you cannot replace his production. You cannot. And now my fear is I don't think Stearns really wanted to bring him back last year. And, Cohen had to fly down to Florida and interject and kind of like give him that 1-year deal. he doesn't profile as a Stearns guy, right? Stearns loves it. Look at the Brewers. Like, look at their line. They have Christian Yelich. They have some other, but they're all just kind of like these guys that just like are scrappy. They put the ball in play. They play good defense. My fear is Stearns probably that's what he probably doesn't love Alonso, but agree all the things that you're saying about him being a Met. He's like a homegrown Met. Like he wasn't even like hyped up like they always do with all their other ones. That came on the scene. He's like to me, he's also like pretty clutch for the most part. But like, where are you getting his production? I think if you put him behind Soto for 2 more years, he's not breaking down. And then also you have a DH. So like that's the beauty of the DH. Use the DH. So if his defense is that bad, like then use it. Then somehow keep that spot open. So I'm with you. You got to sign. And now the question is how many years and how much money? I don't know, but how are you replacing that production? Where is that coming from? Unless you do it by committee, I don't know. Is that because you get a Bregman or a Bellinger? I don't know. But to me, right, Pete's like he's a Met, right? Kind of he embraces it. Like to me, I think you have to find a way to bring him back because I don't know where you're finding that production.
We're on the same page. Shlomo?
As a fan, I want him back. I think that like it's the same thing with David Wright, and like it's just you want the guys to play their whole career. Like when DeGrom was going to free agency, and I was having the same argument with my friends, and I was like, I want as a fan, like he is the most fun pitcher that I've been able to watch up until this point. I want them to bring him back. I don't care if he's dealing with injuries, this or that. As a fan, I want him back. But at the same time, like I could understand why the team would move away from him, and like. Last year, I was like, they need to bring him back immediately. Like, I really wanted them to bring him back. This year, I'm not going to be as upset if they don't.
126 RBIs.
But but that's
a lot of ribbies
about Soto being on base for him. But like, I want him. Like, I do want them to bring him back, but I won't lose sleep the same way.
So the problem is, if you don't bring him back and some dope is behind Soto, then you'd be like, we're wasting the prime of Soto's year. They're never going to pitch it. So, like, what are you going to, like, I agree. Like
Soto's going to have 170 walks.
Sometimes. Right. And
Benji, what are your thoughts?
Like, I agree. It's a weird, there's 2 sides to it, but, like, I don't know where you get that production. That's my biggest, I think it all goes back to that. His defense, yes, subpar. He picks it well. He can't throw, but, yeah, I don't know. Benji, what do you think?
Why is he so bad at throwing? What is that? What is that?
He's a galoot. He's like a big galoot. You know what I mean? When like he's low IQ, so like he has no touch. You know when you like
he's a Glacier Cup.
Yeah, like when you know when you have to have finesse, like he'll make a big diving play, and then he gets up and he'll throw like a fastball. Like sometimes you gotta have a little touch, like a little like finesse, and like he's just like he doesn't have that in his brain.
Did he end Kodai Senga's season? Was it Pete Alonso's fault?
Yeah, pretty much.
You actually. Kodai Senga's made of.
No, he's made of. He's the weak. He's made of like nothing. He has like no substance. Yeah.
I see I'm defensive about Alonso because it bothered me so much, and everybody was blaming Senga on him, and then like Senga came back, and then like had another injury, and then was pitching in Florida. And then was pitching in Florida like 3 days before the last series, and he was fatigued in the 95-degree Florida heat. I was just like, this guy sucks. It's the biggest series the Mets have had in a long time.
Right. He needs like 8 days.
All right,
rest.
Benji.
Like enough. Yeah.
Thoughts on Alonso?
Yeah, Senga thing is definitely a weird one. That's certainly a weird situation. I very much want Pete back, mainly because of what Dovid said in terms of production. I think you can easily replace him very easily with Kyle Schwarber. I think you can. You just have to figure out what you're going to do at first base. Like, do you move Vientos there? Do you move Nimmo there? Do you first base? It has that you can watch Moneyball, and Ron Washington says it's not so easy to play first base, but it is the easiest position to play on the field. Like I could imagine that Vientos would be able to handle first base. Probably not as well.
Wait, do you think that in softball also, Benji?
First base is for sure. I mean, in softball, people are going to get mad. Catching is the easiest position. All we got to do is catch the ball. But first base is the second easiest. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, sorry, but
so to you, it's a tier 3 position. It's a tier 3 position. If there are 3 tiers, tier 1 is shortstop.
Izzo's my guy. I love Izzo, and I know Steve's going to get mad. I saw the whole group. I didn't comment on it. I didn't want to get in on it, but catching doesn't matter.
Okay, go on. Sorry for interrupting
I'll talk about,
okay.
I'll talk about Pete. I am very much into the lifetime Met thing, but give me a World Series first, and then I'll talk to you about the lifetime Met thing. Like, it's so funny. Everyone's bringing up David Wright and Reyes, and Reyes left, and he was terrible. It was great that we didn't sign him. David Wright wasn't as much. David Wright's my guy. I love David Wright. David Wright's my favorite Met of all time. It was a mistake because he didn't get hurt. I mean, he literally didn't perform after he made sign that deal. Terrible. DeGrom, what a disaster! Could you imagine if the Mets had signed DeGrom and immediately he gets Tommy John again? And he misses 2 years. Could you imagine what Twitter would be like and what the fan would be
Mets
like?
Twitter.
It would be ridiculous. The fact that they gave him that money. I remember it was Shabbos when he was signed, and they gave him 5 for 180. I was like, you know what? I'm sad that he's gone. They'll pivot. They'll find someone cheap, and I was very happy with what they did with Verlander. It didn't work out, but it certainly wouldn't have worked out with DeGrom. With Pete, I think
DeGrom had a nice season, by the way, as did Verlander, ironically. But DeGrom had a very nice season.
He had a nice season, but 3 years into his deal, I mean, he's already missed 2 years. Like,
He missed 2
what are we talking about?
Okay, yeah.
He missed all of 23, right? Or half of 23, missed
Half of
all of
23.
24, basically. So, I mean, he's technically a world champion with the Rangers. Like, he would go in as a Met, by the way, obviously. DeGrom,
Yeah.
if he goes to the Hall of Fame as Met. And by the way, just in the
Are
Hall
you
of Fame,
certain? Are you sure?
100.
I feel like he. I feel like he was very unhappy.
Oh,
I know. Doesn't the player get to choose though?
That's a John
He's not-
Heyman nonsense. Don't listen to John Heyman.
Yeah.
John Heyman, he's a 5 pounds guy, but don't listen to John Heyman. But we're going to get a bunch of Hall of Famers. We're going to get Soto's going to be a Hall of Famer. I think Lindor's going to be a Hall of Famer. I think Beltran might be a Hall of Famer with the Mets. He's going to get in. I just don't know if he'll be in as a Met. Like, you're going to get, it's crazy. You're going to get double the amount this year. But the
Those
reason
guys
to
are
bring
going
back
as
Pete
Mets.
definitely Soto, definitely Lindor.
Definitely Soto.
probably not.
Benji, you've got some wild fluctuations here.
Soto's going to be here for 15 years. I mean, it's like A-Rod. Was A-Rod better? Was
It's
A-Rod
funny.
better as a Ranger and a Mariner?
Do you-
Like, there were times. But
Do you
he's
feel
15
warm
years
and
with the Mets.
fuzzy that they're like Mets? Like, when you think of Hall of Famer, like that's our Hall of Fame guy. Like,
In 15 years, when
I
you're
guess.
53, 54 years old, you're going to feel fuzzy about Juan Soto and his 2 championships. and
No,
his
it's
4
too.
MVPs. And yeah, you're gonna. And his,
All right, last question. Okay, we got to move on. It's late. It's 10 o'clock. We got to go.
ahead.
Are we going to do a little bit of Yankee stuff before we go? And I just want to say one thing about the Yankees. If we do talk about it, it might be too early to stick the knife in. But
oh man, this is dangerous.
Mhm.
Brian, okay, fine. Just one thing. Fine, we're not going to do anything. I'm going to give
I don't necessarily
homage
wanna
for
go
a
to the
minute.
Yankees, but I just wanted to say that Brookler should have a banner in his house that says the Padres played 3 more games than the Mets this year, and he should look at that banner.
Do you guys know Gershon Brookler? He's a Padres fan. He's a very talkative. He's a tier B guy. You guys got to meet him. He's a real character. Big Padres fan, which I didn't realize had such a great fan base until I met Brookler. Like now, when the Mets go to San Diego, it's not a good fan base. Okay. Anyway, yes, Brookler needs that. They do need that, and hopefully the Yankees also will have a banner that says we played like 5 more games. Anyway, so 6 more games. First of all, shout out to Brian Cashman. Yankee fans hate Cashman. I think one thing you saw this year with the Mets was that playoffs are not guaranteed. And also, Yankees have had a lot of disappointing exits. They're more or less a World Series contender, I think, every year. I think they've, whatever, it just hasn't worked out for them. That's my just take on the Yankees, but I guess it's not good karma to make fun of them. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about the Yankees before we sign off.
I'll go first on this one. Yankee fans are the worst fans in all of sports. All of sports. Maybe not. Maybe Boston. Maybe Boston is worse, or maybe Philly. But Yankee fans are the most spoiled brats in the world. In my lifetime, I was born in 1995. They have not had a single losing season in my lifetime. They've won 5 rings. They've been into X amount of World Series, X amount of division wins. And Brian Cashman has some flaws. Development is certainly one of them, but I mean, they're in it every year. And so that means they're making big trade deadline acquisitions every year. Have they given up anybody of worth? Can you think of a single Yankee prospect that they traded that didn't work out? He fleeces everybody every year. He turns loser relievers into gold every year. They churn out top 5 offenses with sometimes nobody. I mean, you can look back at the last 4 or 5 years where they didn't necessarily have so much star power, and they were top 4, top 5 in offense every single year. This guy is a legend. The fact that he gets as much garbage as he does just tells me
It's a lot of
they don't
garbage.
appreciate it. They don't, and I'll say it all the time. They don't appreciate their history. They think Jeter's a top 5 Yankee. Jeter's not behind Ruth, DiMaggio, Mantle, Gehrig automatically. They don't even know who some of these guys are. They don't know when their World Series were. They think Steinbrenner's a god. Steinbrenner, they won in spite of Steinbrenner. They don't know anything. They're ignorant about their history. They are so spoiled, and I hope they lose. But I mean, look, it's the Yankees. They are our big brother, and that's part of the why I hate them so much. But the hate towards Brian Cashman.
Shlomo,
Did I say something wrong? They're not our big brother. They are. They're for sure our big brother. Win a World Series, then they
not if they get swept. Not if they get swept by the Blue Jays.
What, they made the playoffs. They won 94 games.
There's nothing for us to. We got nothing.
Yeah, we got nothing. We have nothing. We
went back to square one. This is like
the only reason why I won't say that they're necessarily a big brother is because they just complain too much about Soto leaving, and they focus on us too much. And like you don't like if you're the big brother, you don't care about the Mets. Like you shouldn't.
I saw a really funny tweet today. Some Yankee fan like tweeted so Soto, being pretty funny actually, posted on Instagram that he's flying to Cancun. So a Yankee fan posts like, "Oh my God, look at Soto, what a loser!" And somebody quote tweets him, whatever it's called, and he says, "This guy had a one-night stand with Soto, and you're telling me the Yankee fans." And he has his notifications for Soto on Instagram turned on. You're telling me that they're over Soto because the way it showed up on the guy's phone was like a notification. It wasn't like he went to the Instagram. It was really funny.
I will say the one positive, and then I'll let you guys talk again. The one positive that came out of this year in a terrible year is that all the fake Yankee fans that said we don't hate the Mets, we don't care about the Mets. It was always a lie. We just never gave them any reason.
Well, Benji, my take on that is my take on that is the Mets were so pathetic for so long. The amount of happiness
they always hated us.
Mets lose.
We were irrelevant. But they always hated us. So we don't hate the Mets is always a lie.
No, they revel in the LOL Mets. Like they'll blow a game, just something awful happens that's like unbelievable, like ridiculous, like. They love that. It's not like they care, but like they love feeding into that. So when the script is flipped a little bit, and the Yankees start doing Mets things, I love that. Like turning into the Mets, like so that we live off that. But you're right. My whole life, the Yankees have been good every year. Right? They go through these ups and downs. The season they get off to a hot start, then they fall asleep in the middle of the year. Stanton gets hurt. It's like the last, I guess, I don't know how many years, and then they get hot at the end of the year, and like they make the playoffs. But the one thing that the Yankees always do, this is what the Mets don't do. They beat bad teams. And I don't know like what the numbers are, but like towards the end of the year, right, the Yankees had a stretch of playing really crappy teams. And they always just take care of business when they need to against bad teams. And the Mets do they can't beat bad teams. And that's the difference. That the Yankees somehow, I don't know what the end of the year, 20 games over, 22 games over, right, where they were floundering like they were the Mets in the same record. But then somehow you look up at the end of the year, they're 23, 24 games over. Boom, just like that. Because I'm
pretty sure the Minnesota Twins exist just to lose to the Yankees in the first round. I'm pretty sure that is their purpose of existence. As Minnesota Twins, we lose to the Yankees in the first round. That is what they're there for.
That's the whole AL Central.
Right there, it's you get bored, and then that's why they hate Boone. They hate Cashman. Everyone stinks. The roster stinks. Then you look up, and all of a sudden, right, they're topping home runs every year. Oh, the roster is not. We don't play small ball enough. Okay, but you win 95 games every year the way you win, right? Like. But that's when you don't win the World Series, because they haven't won in a while for their standards. Like then everyone just gets restless. But
can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question? How many times in a row did you watch the 5th inning of Game 5 last year, over and over and over again? I watched Aaron Judge drop that fly ball on repeat, listening to New York, on drinking tears, literally for a month. And then we got Soto. It was literally heaven. On earth. And then of course, we blow it this year. But watching Judge drop that fly ball over and over again in center field, and then
so what do you guys think about Judge's? What do you guys think about Judge's October? I like making fun of the Yankee fans. He actually has a whole bunch of hits this season, this playoffs, all singles. Yeah. Do you think he's actually an October choke artist, or he just hasn't had enough? He hasn't had enough at bats. Nonsense, you guys think?
Nonsense. A-Rod was the same way, and then he won them the whole World Series. He'll do it one year, and everyone will shut up.
Kershaw had the same thing where everybody would talk about Kershaw, and then he, 2020, he pitched really well in the playoffs, and, it wasn't said anymore.
Another guy they don't appreciate. Let's put it that way. It's another guy they don't appreciate. Cashman, they don't appreciate anything that they have, and they don't appreciate the fact that they have literally the greatest player I've ever seen outside of Barry Bonds.
Agree, 100%. He's literally him and watching him and Ohtani. I think they're underappreciated.
Sure.
Underappreciated.
Yeah.
Like day in day out.
He's unbelievable.
They don't miss. Like they don't. You throw them a pitch, a strike, they don't miss. That's like
You can't get him
normal.
out. You can't get him out.
That's not
Unless
normal.
it's what's his name, a random reliever on the Mets in the Subway Series. Like
Jake Diekman struck him out. That was amazing.
Struck him out looking.
That was great.
Yeah. Pitch right down the middle.
And he was DFA'd like the next day.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're all
All
going
right,
nuts.
guys, this is a lot of.
Game they lost. Like what he swung at a pitch. They were, Anyway.
Go ahead.
All right,
David,
this was a lot of
close
fun.
out.
Any closing? Yeah, we yeah. Go ahead, David. What were you gonna say?
Oh no! You.
I was gonna say it's a lot of fun. We didn't even talk about the Twillery tourney at all. I've lost to Dovid. I haven't played you guys. I don't know if we'll encounter you. I don't know the scheduling and the divisions well enough. Could probably go all night. Any closing thoughts before we part ways from our Mets post-mortem? There's such a bond between Mets fans, like you were saying, David, at the beginning. You bump into Benji a couple of times, like, oh, you're a Mets fan. We're best friends now, So any closing? It feels really warm, warm and fuzzy, Any closing thoughts?
I do need to give a shout out to Captain Ezzy Younger. So, we're 2-0. His GM skills are looking good, but also he's a big
and Yaakov Zevlach holder. Yaakov Zevlach holder. You're missing your co-captain over there.
So
David's only Gore's tier 1 guys. David's not Gore's any of the tier 2 players. He's only Gore's. He doesn't take you into account.
I'm learning.
Ezzy's a great guy, though.
Just quickly, Ezzy would always.
He's a Blue Jays fan.
He is. He's from Toronto, so Ezzy's a big Blue. So I saw him on Shabbos. He was like recording the games. He doesn't watch them live. I'm like, oh God. Anyway, big shout out. He must be feeling great right now. But he always says my play. We play in the night league together. Even before, not HSL. And like my play always correlates to the Mets. So like I like everything I do is like Metsy. Like Mets are playing well. Like I'm in a good mood. They're not like bad things happen. I make an error. Like I'm just like so as he was feeling good. He made a couple of nice plays in the outfield last game. He was feeling spry. He threw a guy out from center field at second base. A great throw. So he's directly correlated to the Jays because he's feeling good. He's feeling.
Wait,
spry,
Ezzy was playing center field? Wow, he really can play anywhere on the field. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think somehow. Maybe the ball went over the right center field, and he went and got it. He threw it to second. Anyway, so his play is directly correlated to the Jays right now. So keep it going.
I have a question. A lot of people say that Ezzy Younger is overrated. Is there any have these reports been confirmed at all, or it's what the word on the street is that Ezzy's overrated? It's inaccurate. I mean, based on what you're saying.
Ezzy's great.
Asking me. He's great.
I'm joking around. He we had a few podcasts in a row where people on his own team were making fun of him. And I had never met the guy before. And then I met him and I'm like, why is everybody hating on you? He's just like, they just like hating on me. I didn't know I didn't know. I don't even know him that well still. But it seems like he's fun to poke fun at. So I was trying to get in there, but it didn't land. All right. Hopefully we'll do this again next year and it'll be a victory, or sooner than that. Maybe we'll have a preseason. Who knows? Off season, hot stove. But this was good fun. Thanks so much for coming on, guys. Good luck in the tournament. Hopefully you guys, and well, I have a team also. So I don't know. Hopefully we meet in the semis and the champs and so on and so forth. All righty.
Amen. Have a good Yontif, everybody.
Have a great
Thanks,
night.
boys.